whatever. I can't find it. It's in my house. I guess we're not doing Musar because I'm so late. All right.
There's always time for Musar.
There is. That's true. That is true. But
1 second, and that was just the Musar. I don't think
Yeah, exactly.
No. Spire can go to sleep 5 minutes later. It's fine. You took a shower already, right, Spira?
Of course I took a shower. I took a shower before the WhatsApp went out.
All right, making sure.
Yes, I'm on schedule.
Bad timing if someone has.
Okay, so let's go. So on a what?
Bad timing if someone has a
Backed up.
Yaakov, share with Errol maybe one Geshmak Shayla a day. Now we're getting close to Yom Tov. One Geshmak one.
To be honest with you, there's not so many Geshmaka Shilas, I have to tell you.
Oh, come on. Really?
Sviakov, you need a new crowd then. Come on. Last year, you always had something. You need a new crowd this year.
I have to think.
That's the problem. Chaim passed away. They're all looking for different posings, and that's it.
Yeah.
They're shopping.
They're shopping. No, Sviakov, I got the Gada.
Oh, you got it? Are you going to use it? I'm saying you.
I got it. I didn't say I'm going to use it. No, I'm joking. It's very good.
Where'd you get it from?
Amazon.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You heard of it?
Connecting.
What?
You heard of it? It
I'm
happens
the
to
one that
be.
told you to look at Amazon.
It happens to be the set. The set's like $90, but if you buy it separately, it's like $60.
Except 55 at Eichler.
And Yaakov.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to charge it for you.
If you're not making a bracha, what do you say when you do bedika?
Tonight?
Yeah.
Nothing. You just do Bedika. That's it.
You just do the bedika. You say nothing.
You can say Kol Chamira if you want. You can say Kol Chamira.
Does that matter? You have to? Does it even make a difference? I'm saying you still say the bittul on Erev Pesach, correct?
Yeah. No, you should say, if you're not going to say Kol Chamira Thursday night, then you should at least say one.
Well, I'm not doing the bedika Thursday night, so.
Read the paper, Stalls. Read the paper.
So then you do Kol Chamira.
Okay, so I'll say Kol Chamira tonight. Okay.
This is the one.
I could tell you one thing, one interesting thing. A lady who's she texted a question about koshering. I was like, didn't you have a baby 3 days ago? And this lady's koshering. She's koshering with an iron and the sinks and the whole deal. She had a baby 3 days ago. I was like, well, that's pretty good. That I have to say. I don't know if
do you typically keep track of births with the people that
we should go yell at our wives if they have it easy. What do you want?
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that, but that was pretty good. I have to say that was pretty good. Yeah. Anyways, on that note, Yitzi Sante, welcome back.
So
Thank you.
What was she wanted?
She's koshering.
Do I need to use a candle tonight if I do Bedika?
No, just use a flashlight.
Just a flashlight.
Time says use a candle.
Okay.
Who said?
Chaim.
He said on regular night, not.
Oh.
Yeah, Reb Chaim, because you go ask Reb Chaim that you're going to Orlando for 3 days before Pesach, and he's going to use a candle and see what Reb Chaim would have told you. Okay.
I'm not going to Orlando.
Wherever you're going.
As long as you change your name and grow a beard.
That's right, and don't wear a watch. And
don't have any emblems.
And don't have a name Shira.
Yeah, my Rebbe in Eretz Yisrael said no more candles because of sakana. He said use a flashlight.
Yeah, so all right, that's a thing. That is a thing.
Well, nothing personal to your Rebbe. I said this 20 years ago. So I
maybe you're
using
Jesse's
the
Rebbe. You
candle.
could be also.
It's a very Meiser Rav. When my beard was on fire, I started the next year. I didn't use a candle anymore.
Was that the year that they called you Patches?
Imagine how long it would be if that didn't happen.
Tomorrow on your status update.
And Ravarin, it was about 20 years ago. He was my Rebbe in Eretz Yisrael from 99 to 2001.
There you go.
If someone's leaving early, they should do Bedika in their house, but shouldn't they do Bedika there?
You have both. Depends where you make
your
Bedika. I have all of the above.
The choice is.
We're not doing that now. Let's go. Sorry.
It's a good thing we didn't do Musar because we didn't have so much time.
Very good, Avrami. Thank you. What are you taking over Peretz's job, Avrami? Because we're waiting for Gershon to get on. That's why.
He's in the middle of his bedika, Yaakov.
I hear.
Be there until Thursday.
Okay, let's go. So we left off with the machlokes Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish. Right, we left it with the machlokes Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish over if you do chalitza or yibum to a woman who's pregnant, and then the pregnancy, then she miscarries. Right. So again, if she was pregnant and the pregnancy would be viable, so then she didn't need yibum, she didn't need chalitza, so everything is fine. Right. But if the pregnancy wasn't viable, so came out that she does need yibum or chalitza, and they did it, but they did it when she was pregnant. So maybe that was not enough. That doesn't count. Even though, again, lemafreya, what we call it, it was niskala lemafreya that she needed because the pregnancy fizzled out, right? So she really did need it, but lemaisa, when she had it, she didn't. You didn't do. Meaning, I would say the equivalent is, let's say you decide to eat matzah on erev Pesach, right? So you yaitza, you eat matzah on erev Pesach. You're not okay. I don't know if that's such a good mushal. Let's say you eat matzah after shkia, but before this man, you say, hopefully Eliyahu Navi is going to come and he's going to tell us that the Gra was right, and really night falls 15 minutes after shkia. You're hoping, right? You're betting that, right? You have your say the 15 minutes after shkia, so you get a good night's sleep. And he said, I'm telling you the Gra, they're going to come and they're going to prove the Gra right, and then I'm niskal, I'm afraid that I'm okay. But then the Mashiach didn't come and whatever. So now you're saying, okay, was I yaitza? Right? But he came, meaning the next day Mashiach came. The next day Mashiach, for the second Seder Mashiach came. So he's going to, and says, oh, by the way, the halacha is like the Gra. But the halacha wasn't like the Gra before Mashiach came. I hope this mashal makes some sort of sense. Right? So the night before you were not yaitza because halacha wasn't like the Gra. We go whatever. We go to Rabbeinu Tam, at least the Chumrah. So you can't say it was niskal, I'm afraid. You did it wrong. If you had your matzah too early, you did it wrong. Even though the next day we found out that it was correct, but that's not gonna work. So same thing here. If we have the rules. So right. So if this lady, if they did yibum or chalitza to a pregnant woman, so that she didn't need it, then you were supposed to wait till after the pregnancy. You didn't wait, and then you say, oh, but now the bottom line is she lost the pregnancy. So it was in this gala that she didn't need yibum chalitza. So what? But when you did it, it was no good. So that's a machlokes with Yochanan and Reish Lakish. Yochanan holds that it's fine, the chalitza and the yibum, and Reish Lakish holds that it's not. So Gemara says Meisvei. We're on Lamed Hey Amud Beis, about 12 lines.
Chalitza is not something that needs to bar das, correct? You don't need to be a bar das. It's not a chalais that you're doing, correct?
I don't know. I never applied for a chalitza, so and I didn't find out if they would accept me.
No, I'm saying, but a kohen can do chalitza technically, correct?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
No, I'm saying so. It's not like the Maisa chalitza. There's nothing going on in the Maisa chalitza.
Right. True. Yeah. So, anyways, okay. So let's see. So Meisvei, yeah. Now we're asking from a Braysa, right? The first two kashas were from our Mishnah, right? The difference, just in case this is a hard daf, we'll have something that we learn. Eisvei means it's from a Mishnah. Meisvei means it's from a Braysa, right? So Meisvei, right? Hakohen says Yevimta. Somebody marries a Yevimta v'nim says Muberes, and it comes out that she's pregnant. Hareza loitinase tzaras. So what about the tzara, right? The co-wife, as we call it. We haven't had that in a few blot, right? So again, one of them was pregnant. The one he did yibum to was pregnant, but there's a tzara. So now, can she go get married? Meaning he botched it. He made a mistake. He did yibum to a pregnant woman, right? But if she's taka pregnant, she has a baby, then her tzara goes scot-free too. But they did yibum. He did yibum to the pregnant one. So what's with the tzara? So say no, the tzara cannot get married. Why? Shemi he vlad ben kayama. Because perhaps the vlad is going to live. Right? So then Gemara said, okay, so what? If the Vlad is going to live, then for sure she can get married, right? There was no yibum. So the Gemara says, Adarabah, ki havi Vlad ben kayamim iftarot tzarasa. It has to be the opposite. If the Vlad is going to live, then the tzara for sure should get married. Elaima, shemi lo yehi Vlad ben kayamim. So we're going to say, no, maybe the Vlad is not going to live. Right? The Isaac died of Bias. So that's what we're afraid of. So the tzara cannot get married because we don't know if this pregnancy is going to last. And if we're going to say that the bia of muberes is considered a bia, right? If the yibum was proper, even though she was pregnant and she really wasn't supposed to have it, if the pregnancy dies, we go with Rabbi Yochanan and it says that it's okay. and the yibum works. Amai loy tinos itzarasa. Why can't she get married right away? Tipoter b'biyah shel chaverta. She's going to be potter with the biyah of the chaver. Meaning, so this woman is pregnant, right? So why can't the tzara get married? Mimanav shach, according to Rav Yochanan. If the baby lasts, since she didn't need yibum at all, she could have gone free, just like any regular widow. And if the pregnancy fizzles out, she had yibum, because Rabbi Yochanan holds that yibum works. Elamai, the Braysa says that she cannot get married. That disproves Rabbi Yochanan. So Abaya changes it. He says, if you do yibum on a pregnant woman, she's not potter, even if the pregnancy dies. Ki pligi b'chalitza. The machlokes is by chalitza, right? Rabbi Yochanan says chalitza is muberes, shma chalitza. Bias muberes lo shma bia. Rabbi Yochanan says the chalitza would work. If they do chalitza on a pregnant woman, then that works. But bia, meaning yibum, does not work. Shalakar savar bias muberes lo shma bia. The bia is not of a pregnant woman, is not bia, meaning yibum. It's interesting. I don't know why it's not calling it yibum. It's calling it bia. Right? The chalitza is muberes lo shma chalitza, and the chalitza of a muberes is not considered chalitza. So now Abaya just changed it. He said, if you do yibum on with a pregnant woman, that's for sure doesn't work. According to all opinions, if they do yibum and then they find that she was pregnant, even if the pregnancy dies, they have to do yibum again. That's no machlokes, according to Abaya. The machlokes is if they did chalitza. Let's say they did chalitza on the pregnant woman. Now again, so who you're going to ask what's the difference if they did chalitza or not? I'm a man of shach. She can get married because either if the baby lasts, they didn't need chalitza in the first place, and if she got chalitza, so chalitza allows her to get married. Because who cares? The difference is can she marry a kohen? Can she marry a kohen? Because if the chalitza was legitimate, then she's not allowed to marry kohanim. And also he's also to her relatives, and she's also to his relatives. But if the chalitza is nothing, so then they would be mutter, right? So that's the way Abaya learns it. So Amrali Rava, so Rava asked the Kashan Abaya Manav Shach, and we had this rule once before. Ibiyas muberes shma bia. If you say that the bia of a pregnant woman is considered bia, then chalitza is muberes shma chalitza. Then chalitza always goes along with yibum, meaning we never split, right? We had this rule before. Yibum and chalitza, we don't split. If you could do yibum, you could do chalitza. If you can do chalitza, you could do yibum. If you can't do, then you can't do. Ibiyas muberes lo shma bia, chalitza muberes nami lo shma chalitza. If yibum doesn't work, if bia doesn't work, so the chalitza doesn't work. The hachi kaimelon, because this is what we hold on to Amud Aleph now. The kala oily. What?
She didn't need, she was pregnant, so then it's a chorus for the brother. Giving chalitza to his brother's amana is no big deal.
No, but
so how did it say?
It was a mistake. It was a mistake. That's all.
I understand, but how did it say that it's saying?
No, but if they did a mistake, no, but it does meaning no. He's saying that a bia on a pregnant woman will not work, but chalitza will work. All we're asking on him is that it has to be that the two go hand in hand.
They're two totally different things. Chalitza is no big deal.
No, but we're talking about X. What do you call it in the art school? Ex post facto, whatever that means.
Okay, fine. Ex
Meaning
post facto.
In a bid'evet. We're not in lechatchila. You're 100%
You find out
right.
that the ball was really fair, not foul. Ex post facto in the middle of December doesn't do you much good.
Correct. So yeah, but this is an ex post facto that they did yibum or chalitza. So they're saying the two have to go hand in hand. Either if it works, b'di'evet, so then both have to work. If b'di'evet it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. That's all he's saying. He's saying, of course, you can't do the yibum, right? You can't do the yibum. It's a chi of chorus, 100%. Anyway, so the Gemara says, because the rule is the kol oil yibum oil chalitza. If it works for yibum, it works for chalitza. If it doesn't work for yibum, then it doesn't work for chalitza, right? So we don't have an answer now. Elo amar Rava. So Rava says, Hachi Kamana. Rava changes the lashon a little bit. This is what that Braysa meant to say. Hakainis yivimtai. Somebody who marries his yivimtai. V'nipsi, that's Rabban, the lashon v'nimtzei muberes. She's found to be a muberes, meaning he found out later that she was pregnant. So he was an aynis. Or a shaygeg. Okay, whatever. That's yeah. Harezu loy. If Gershon was on, we would hack that. Right? I mean, at least he would have that. I don't know if I would, but okay. So Harezu loitina se tzarasa, the tzara cannot get married. Why? Shemi Vlad ben Kayama, because perhaps the Vlad is going to live, right? Meaning the Vlad is going to live, which means that she never needed Yibum. Ubiyas muberes loishma bia, and the bia is nothing. The chalitzas muberes loishma chalitza, and the chalitza muberes is not considered chalitza. Vlad ain't a paiter ad sheyetze le'avir ha'olam, and the Vlad will not make her pater until it is born. Meaning, we're never making anybody pater. She could be pregnant all you want. Bottom line is, until that baby is born, there's no patur, right? So that's what the Braysa is saying, according to R Yochanan, that until the baby's born, it's considered as if she's not pregnant, right? So therefore, then even if she would, if it comes out that what's mashma from this is that if the pregnancy does not work and the baby dies, it's still it would be considered bia. Meaning the only reason why I'm saying that it's not a shema bia is because the baby lived. Mashma, if the baby would not have lived, then it would be considered a bia and a chalitza. That's the way Rava explains it. Tani Kava say the Rava. If somebody marries the Yevimta, and she's found to be pregnant, so the co-wife is not allowed to get married. Why? Perhaps the baby's going to live. Right? The bia and chalitza is not going to pater her. Only the Vlad will pater her. Vlad ain't pater, and the Vlad does not make her pater until it's born. So that's why the tzara can't get married, even though she's pregnant, and in all probability she is going to be, and she's gonna be pater from Yibum because the baby most of the time lasts. But so what? Until that baby is born, she is not considered. She's not considered like she has a child, right? But it's mashma that if the baby did die, then the Yibum would work. So the Gemara says, "Taima." The Gemara asks, "Taima the Shem Vlad ben Kayamahu." That's only because perhaps the Vlad is going to live. But if the Vlad is not going to live, miftar tzarasa, then that sounds like the tzara's potter. So now this Braysa is a kasha on Reish Lakish. Some Reish Lakish, no, so Rabbi will tell you a different answer. He changes for Reish Lakish, he'll change it back the other way. If somebody brings in his yivimtai and she finds to be a beres, you cannot marry tzarasa. Shema loy yehei avlad. See, now he changes it to loy, not shema yehei. Right? Rava's learning it in Rabbi Yochanan's shema yehei. Here it's saying shema loy yehei avlad ben kayama. Perhaps the vlad is not a ben kayama. V'chalitzas muberes loy shmo chalitza. And the chalitza muberes is not chalitza, ubiyas muberes loishma bia, and the bia muberes is not a bia. So that's the way Reish Lakish will understand the Braysa. So basically, it's contingent on whether you say the lashon of lo yehei avlad ben kayama or shema yehei avlad ben kayama. So the says, why don't we go after the majority of women? For Rav Nashim Vlad Ma'alya Yaldan, most women, most pregnancies carry to term, right? So we say Vlad ain't poiter actually yet to love. No, it doesn't make a difference with the majority or not. The bottom line is that the mother is not potter from Yibum until that baby is born. That's it. Even though we could say Raiv, etc., doesn't make a difference. Fine. So
until the baby's born, until Shloshim Yom.
Oh, so that's going to be on Amud base. That will be on Amud base. Whether you need to wait Shloshim Yom even afterwards.
What about if she's pregnant before the Yibum? Like I'm saying, before the
could be she was. She probably
she's
was.
5 months pregnant. You have to wait. The Sarah has to wait until.
Yeah, you gotta wait.
What do you mean?
That's
How's she pregnant before
saying.
Yibum? Don't you wait 3 months for Yibum?
Yeah, but they didn't wait 3 months. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about they made a mistake. They made a mistake, or they didn't make a mistake. They ran out of patience, whatever it is. But they didn't know she was pregnant. If they knew she was pregnant, then Rabbaran's right. That'll be a chiyuv kares. I mean, I guess if the baby's not viable, then maybe it wouldn't be a chiyuv kares.
It sounds like you have to wait 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
If she's pregnant,
you do. We're gonna see. That's gonna be later.
Once she's pregnant, you have to wait 9 months before. What?
You'll have to wait. Yes. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. There Amar Rabbi Lazar. Efshar.
Was it the Yibum Chiv doesn't fall off until either she has the baby or
And then you're right. And then while Guzev is asking, maybe you even need 30 days, right? That's why you wait. That's why we wait for the pigeon aben for 30 days. Okay, we'll get to that soon. Okay, so Amar Rabbi Lazar. Efshar Isa lahadar Reish Lakish v'loy tanan lo b'masnisin. Is it possible that we have Reish Lakish's din, and we don't have a Mishnah like him? Right, meaning we're going to see that we pass in here like Reish Lakish, even though normally we don't pass in like Reish Lakish. So Rabbi Lazar is saying it seems like we're passing like Reish Lakish, but if we're passing like Reish Lakish over Rav Yochanan, there's got to be a Mishnah that backs him up. Right? So Nofak Dak V'Ashkach. So he went and he looked and he found one, which is quite interesting because they didn't have books back then. They certainly didn't have internet. Right? So it means he had to go around asking people if they ever heard. Right, you're muted, Rabban. But if you ever heard anything from this,
he asked Reb Chaim. That's it.
Yeah, I guess that would be the equivalent, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so, didn't they know all the Mishnayos? Like they might not know the Braisas, but didn't they know the Mishnayos?
I don't know. It must not have, right?
I thought we said the Mishnayos. They didn't know all the Braisas.
This is a Mishnah. This is a Mishnah. You're right. You're right. They're in a Mishnah. Israel. No. Hold on a second.
Send it away.
Okay. I told him when to come today.
You said after 8:30.
I said, he didn't read his text. He didn't read his text. Which I tell you. I'm saying if somebody doesn't read his text.
After I said it's you can come in.
Naftali, you're supposed to keep the people out, not bring them.
The truth is, we shouldn't even answer the door.
Yeah, what is he doing?
I did.
We're firing him. We're firing. Where's Marchuk? Where's Yeshua Marchuk? We need him back here.
I kept him
out. Director Aaron, the person that came in.
What?
I kept him out.
My shlichus. I handed over the shlichus and he just dropped the ball. It's unbelievable.
That's right. Anyways, okay, let's see. Okay, so
forget it. We're not coming from Myriv now.
Yeah, it's gonna be some Myriv. Anyway. We got the Tiferes Peretz is doing a special weekday Myriv. Anybody that doesn't get to experience Tiferes Peretz during the week can come over here. I'm sure there's going to be schnapps.
But if you have a shul that's open in the weekday, don't you need parking spots by law?
Yeah, that's the front lawn. Anyways, okay, let's see. So Akiva, you're right. This is a Mishnah. L'chayr shouldn't be hard for him to look for a Mishnah, right? One thing, it's a Braysa. Right, but it's a Mishnah. The Tanan ha'isha shehalach b'ayla v'tzaras and so a woman who her husband and her co-wife, meaning her competition, I guess she lost the I guess the lottery for which wife he's taking on the trip. So she's stuck at home, but then in the end she's happy, right? Because the isha shehalach b'ayla v'tzaras and then they come back and they tell her, oh, your husband died, right? So now she is, obviously she doesn't have a kid, otherwise there'd be no Shiloh here. She's not allowed to get married. And she doesn't do Yibam either. Why not? So she's an Aguna. Because maybe her tzara, how do you know her tzara? The co-wife, how do you know she's not pregnant? Right? So now the Gemara says, Bishlam Yivume. We understand why not to do Yibum Shemi Yehev Vlad Ben Kayama, because perhaps that the lady's overseas and she had a kid, and then the tzara, you can't do Yibum. There's be a Chiyav Karis, right? Because the husband had a baby. Yifka be'isr Eishas after Reisa, and you're gonna have an Eishas after Reisa, because again, maybe the wife overseas had a baby. But not to do chalitza amai. Why not do chalitza? So let's say we're going to say do chalitza within 9 months. Right, this is what the Olam was asking. That you have to wait 9 months. Well, we understand that you're not going to do that. I know Suffolk, right? You don't want to do. You can't let her get chalitza within 9 months and then get married within 9 months because you have no idea what's going to be. Maybe the baby's not going to be born. Hainu Suffolk is a Suffolk. Why don't we let her at least get chalitza within the 9 months? Like at least she'll get that out of the way, and then tinasi lachar tisha. Right? What's the big deal? What's the loss? She says, 1 second, I want to start dating. Why do I have to wait for my chalitza till after this baby is born? Or wait 9 months till after from when she heard that this guy died? Why do I have to wait for that? Why can't I just do the chalitza, and then and then I'll get married. I'll be ready to get married right after. So the Gemara says, "Well, according to you, why doesn't she do chalitza and get married after tes? Right? But so don't discuss that. Maybe the Vlad is a ben kayoma. And then what's going to happen is, so let's say you do the chalitza, right? And then they find out that there was a kid. So now, can she marry a kohen?
Yeah.
She can marry a kohen because the chalitza was meaningless because the baby was born. So what you're going to have to do, you're going to have to go make an announcement to everybody. By the way, this lady that had chalitza, now she's mutter to kahana. So that's why we don't want to do it. That's why we would rather wait till everything is till this baby's born. So why don't we taka need it? Why don't we say so? Let her do chalitza, and then we'll announce it. So Gemara says, no, dilma ika inish tahavi b'chalitza. Sometimes there'll be a person that was at the chalitza, but he wasn't there by the announcement. So he's in the bathroom, right? And then when the kohen goes and marries her, they're going to say, oh, we're mattering the chalitza to a kohen, right? So because of that chashash, we don't let her have the chalitza till after the baby is born. So does it say not to do chalitza, not to do yibum? It says not to get married and not to have yibum, but without chalitza. So it's not necessarily a raya, because maybe if they did chalitza, then she would be mutter to get married after the 9 months. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay. So Tanya Kavasei, the Reish Lakish. It's good to see you. So Tanya Kavasei, the Reish Lakish. We have a proof like Reish Lakish. If somebody does chalitza to a pregnant woman and then she miscarries, she needs chalitza from the brothers, right? Which we said already. The brothers is lav dafka, meaning the chalitza. This is a beferish Braysa. You do chalitza to a woman who's pregnant and she loses the pregnancy, you have to go back and do the chalitza again. So that's mamish like Reish Lakish, not like Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan said the chalitza works, even if she was pregnant. Reish Lakish says no, we have a mishnah just like him. So Amar Rava, Hilchos HaKavasei the Reish Lakish Bahani Tlas. The halacha is like Reish Lakish in 3 things. Chada, Hoda Amaron. One, like we just said, that if you do chalitza on a pregnant woman, the chalitza works. Idach, a second case. The Tanan, we learned in a Mishnah, and this is a very contemporary halacha that comes up, is basically as a hakdama. Let's say somebody does not want to do the Yerusha with the halachas in the Torah. He doesn't want to give double to the Bechor, and he wants to maybe give some to the girls, and he wants to give, he wants to split it around differently. So how do you go about doing that? So the way to do it is you make a halachic will, which is basically what you do is you give away the properties right before death. Right? Let's say you write in the star. I mean, this is obviously a little vague of exactly how you do it, but this is basically how it goes. Is you write in the star that the second before death, I'm giving a present, whatever, and then that's not a Yerusha because it's given away before the death. If you do it after the death, then the regular Dinei Torah, you can't go making halachas against the Torah. So if you just write a will that says after my death, this and this and this is happening, it doesn't work because you're not allowed to go against the Torah.
Yeah, but how do you do the case? There is a thing that the bechor gets double. So how do you get around that?
You're getting around it. You're getting around it by saying that you're giving everything away right before death.
You don't own anything when you die.
No, but the father has a chiv to give.
He's giving it all away. He's giving away everything before he dies. He dies penniless.
No, so he's not allowed.
That's what he's doing. I'm not saying he's getting the Tzaddik of the Year award, right? But that's
why not? Why not?
I'm saying
because the Torah says you should do it a certain way.
Do what? Do what? Do what a certain way? He wants to give his kids presents while he's alive. What is the big problem?
Why is the Torah have a thing that the bechor gets double?
Why? I don't know. Most things that God said to do, I don't know why he did say them. So
I could tell you.
I'm asking the rabbi.
I could tell you my pishnayim was that I had to use my mouth twice as much. That's my pishnayim.
Okay,
That's,
right.
I'll tell you what Rab David Cohen told me.
Yeah.
Rab David Cohen told me I should take 2/3 of the svarim, and he says if you want to give it to your brother, gesundheit. But then that's
okay. And you probably gave him
Aaron, where is he in the Yerusha, Aaron?
He's my Adam. He's not my son.
Mendel's the Mechai. Mendel's the Mechai.
Stove.
Yeah.
Stove.
Is he listening?
Yeah.
Akiva. Yeah, go ahead. He's there.
Akiva.
I'm listening.
My Bechar lives in Eretz Yisrael, so all of his dear sisters can now live in America. He said they'll call him a week later after everything is gone. They won't even tell him that there is here.
Till 120.
There you go. All right, but anyway,
sounds like he's gunning for the Svarm. That's what we see.
I think he wants the Mets shirt from '69. I think it's what he's. Anyway, so that's basically what this Mishnah is talking about. How to go about doing this halachic will, let's call it that, right? So the Tanan hamachalik nechasa al piv, right? So if somebody splits up his belongings by his mouth, right? Riba le'echad umiyad le'echad, and he gives more to one and he gives less to another. V'hishva lehem.
I mean, I don't understand this. The whole thing is because it's 1 minute, because it's a halacha, and using the word halacha, it's halachic, something rabbis know how to do. 1 minute before the guy dies, that's the time. I mean, if on a Tuesday, the guy gives his youngest daughter all his Yankee tickets. Okay, good, so what? The guy is 50 years old. He gives his daughter Yankee tickets. Nobody cares.
Right, so that's right. So
he bought her a present. No, he gave his daughter a present.
That's exactly what he's doing. That's exactly
so
what
he's doing. So it just happens to be that Baruch Hashem, all the people who he entrusted to sell chametz to his shagits, they figured out to do this. Then it's called 1 minute before the guy's mother dies. That's
exactly.
There are halachic wills like this when I was involved in my will.
It has nothing to do with not doing what the Torah said. It's not negayah.
Correct. It's a workaround.
So it has nothing to do.
It's a workaround. Yes, it's a workaround. It's a workaround. The shaila is there a specific mitzvah to give away Yerusha like that? I don't think there is.
Why?
I mean, I don't. If there is, then you shouldn't do this. But I don't think there is a specific. It means if you have belongings, then I'm saying is there's a mitzvah for somebody who has no money to go get himself $100.
It's not a Yerusha.
Right? No, that's but
the halacha it's not a Yerusha. It's a matana before he died.
Yeah. Anyways, okay. So again, how does he do this? So machalik nechasav al piv. If he's splitting out his minchas of his belongings on his mouth, riba le'echad umiyad le'echad, he gives more to one son and less to another, which is just a recipe for disaster. Agav. Okay, in case anybody gets any ideas, right? V'hishva lehem is a bechor, and he makes the bechor equal to the rest. Dvar of kayamin. Then his words work. That's because he's giving it as a present. V'im amar mishum Yerusha. But if he says if he writes in the paper or he says this is a Yerusha, lo yomar klum, he said nothing because he's going against the Torah. The Torah has specific protocol for giving out Yerusha, and he's going against it. Let's say within the will, most of it is called a will, and he calls inherit, but then in the middle there, he puts in that it's really a present. So that's enough. According to this shita, whether you put that it's a present in the beginning of the will, or in the end of the will, or the middle of the will, as long as you write matana somewhere, it works.
What is the Lashon betchila b'sayf b'emtza? What is that all about?
Anywhere, somewhere in the will, it has to have. Somewhere in the will, it has to say it's a matana.
Who cares where it is?
No, because you might think that if it's in the beginning, so maybe he changed his mind at the end, or if it's at the end, maybe he didn't have in mind or whatever. There can be any sort of variation. So the
Rashi says it's a lishonis because you might think depending on where you put it, it might not be effective enough to go against the word Yerusha.
Yeah, you're right. It's got to be through. It's got to be right. So you would think that it has to be through and through. I would think that. To be honest with you, I would think is this a present? Or is it Yerusha? Why are you using Yerusha terminology? just using a present once that's enough, but that's the chiddush. Reish Lakish is more machmer. I'm Reish Lakish on the top of Amud base now. La'olam lo kana at sheyomer ploini uploini yirshu sada ploinis uploinis. You have to say that it's that you're not kohen. The kids are not kohen until he says ploini uploini, who are being Yairish, inheriting this field. Shenasatim lahem b'matana b'yirshum. I'm giving it to them as a matana, and that's how they're inheriting it. But meaning, excuse me, the Reish Lakish's point is that it has to be saying that it's a matana for each one. You have to have the word matana going on each child. Otherwise, it doesn't work. That's the minimum that you have to have. So in this case, we paskin like Reish Lakish in this case too, that it's not enough just to have it say matana once. V'idach. And the other case, the Tanan, this case is a little bit more, we need lawyers for this one. The Tanan, if somebody writes that he's giving all his belongings to his son, but after death, really the opposite of the other case is doing before death, here he's doing it after death. The father is not allowed to sell it because he gave it to the son, meaning he says, this is all going to come yours after death, right? So now he decides, oh, you know what? I want to sell the property, whatever it is. So he can't sell it because it was really given to the son. The son can't have it, can't sell it because it's really the father's. It doesn't become his till after death. What happens if they did? If he sold it, if the father sold it, then it's sold until he dies, right? And if the son sold it, he can't get it. The lekeach can't come ask for it until the father dies. Meaning if the son or the father want to sell it, they have to sell it with a contingency that, by the way, it's not yours until after the death. But we learn, right? Yes. Let's say what happened is the son sold it in the father's lifetime. Umeis haben b'chaya av, right? So now it's really complicated. Again, the father can't sell it, the son can't sell it. If they did sell it, it doesn't kick in until after the father's death. But here the son sold it, and then the son died, right? So now what's the situation, right? So again, Vidmar mocher haben b'chaya av, the son sold it. Umeis haben b'chaya av, and then the son died when the father was still alive. So R Yochanan amar loy kana lekeach. The lekeach is not koinet. Reish Lakish amar kana lekeach, and Reish Lakish says the lekeach is koinet, right? Because he basically does have some rights to it. So why? So R Yochanan amar loy kana lekeach, because kinyan peiros kinyan aguftam. He says the lekeach is not koinet because peiros, which is what he's allowed to have, is like the kinyan aguf. But Reish Lakish amar kana lekeach kinyan peiros lav kinyan aguftam. He says the lekeach does get it because the kinyan of the peiros, which is what the son is allowed to have, is not a kinyan aguf dummy. I'm sorry, the son is allowed to have. So therefore, it's not kinyan aguf, and therefore, then it works right away. And but he only gets it once the father dies. Okay, so
yeah, even the old kinyan payers get kinyan aguf dummy. Doesn't the ben still have a swus in the guf? Meaning, why is that lafuki the son kinyan payers get kinyan aguf dummy?
Again, what are you saying?
If you hold kinyan bears kinyan aguf dummy, why is that to the exclusion of the son?
No, because
the Gemara's mashma of Yochanan saying that it's to the exclusion of the son. That's why,
right?
If the son tries to sell it, he has no schus in it right now.
Right,
why?
Because now,
he's
so
still kinyan aguf.
Right, the father gets the payers, right? I think I said it the wrong way.
But
the father gets the
exclusion
payers
of the son. The son has some schus in it now, no?
Yes, ep is something, but we're saying that it's really not. The kinyan peiros is like the kinyan aguf, and he doesn't have a right to sell it.
They don't both have a right. Just because kinyan aguf doesn't mean that he has no kinyan aguf now either. How else can he sell it? Then it's like Bali Olam. Then how could the son ever? How could it ever be chal even if the son would die? I'm sorry, even if the father would die. What everyone's masking if the father would die, then the son's sale is a good sale to the person, correct?
Correct.
Why? It's Leibali Olam.
So no, because it must be, he has some, they each one have some yad. One has
So
the
then he
kinyan
has
of
a
guf, one has the
schus in
kinyan
it.
of
So
peiros.
what does that mean that kinyan of guf? I mean, so what? So he still has a schus in it.
Right.
Why is that the inclusion of the son?
I don't know. I don't know enough. We'll have to wait for Baba Basra for this. I got enough, right?
Well, see also at the beginning.
Well,
of
yeah, and then we had it in Shabbos and getting whatever. It's yeah. Anyways, okay. So let's see. Weiter. Ein of Vlad Shel Kayom. So here, actually, in this sugya, we get into where again the Olam was asking about how the Metzias could be different. This manazeh. So this comes in. So we said, what's the case? Ein of Vlad Shel Kayom. Right. So if the Vlad is not Shel Kayom, right? Again, we're talking about where the guy did Yibum, and it ended up that she was pregnant, right? So if the Vlad is not Shel Kayama, then you can, meaning the Vlad died, so they could stay married. The Yibum works the Yibum works, right? So Tana Mishum Rabbi Eliezer, Amru B'Shum Rabbi Eliezer Amru. They said in the name of Rabbi Eliezer, Yotzi Beget. No, he disagrees. He disagrees with our Mishnah. Our Mishnah says that they can stay married. Rabbi Eliezer says no, they have to get divorced. Right, and then if he wants to get married again, then they can, but he have to get divorced because they got married illegally. Amar Rava, Ramei of Rabbi Eliezer, Amru Davar Echad. Ramei and Rabbi Eliezer saying the same thing. Rabbi Eliezer, Chada Amaron. Rabbi Eliezer is the one that we just said that if by mistake does yibum to a pregnant woman, then even if the baby dies, I'm sorry, if the baby stays alive, you still have to get divorced. That's Rabbi Eliezer. Our Mishnah says not. Our Mishnah says they stay married. A man is not allowed to marry his friend's pregnant wife or his friend's nursing wife. Obviously, it does not mean that they're still married. It's talking about where they got divorced or he died, right? So if she's pregnant or if she's nursing within 24 months of having a baby, she is not allowed to get remarried. This is the psak in Shulchan Aruch, right? So unfortunately, when you have younger people that die, and the woman is within 2 years of having a baby, she is not allowed to get married until 2 years after having the baby.
Chavero just means a regular person. It doesn't mean specifically his friend.
Yeah, it doesn't mean Chavero. No, Chavero. We're assuming that Gans Klal Yisrael is a Chavero, right? That's the hope at least, right? So yes, so she can't get remarried.
This is the psak today also.
Oh, 1 second. So let's just do the sugya and then we'll get back to Vim Nasa. And if they did get married, Yaitzi, then they have to get divorced. V'lo yachzor alamis, and he's not allowed to ever marry her back. Divrei Reb Meir. Right? V'chachamim ma'amru Yaitzi, they have to get divorced because she agias manai lichnois yichnois. And when the time comes, meaning the 24 months is up, then she could get married. So we're saying, so I think I said before the Rebbe Eliezer says they can get remarried after they get divorced. They cannot, right? So basically, both of these scenarios, they can't get married. So Abai asked me, maybe we can't compare the two cases. Again, we're comparing the case of somebody doing Yibum to a pregnant woman, which he wasn't allowed to do, to a man that gets married to a woman who's either pregnant or who's within 24 months of having a baby. Maybe they're not comparing, right? And neither one's allowed to get married. And Rameir said that they have to get divorced and then they're not allowed to get married again. And Rebbe Eliezer says by Yibum that they have to get divorced and not allowed to get married again. So maybe it's not a comparison. Here, the guy did an Isser Daraisa Chorus. He slept with a woman who doesn't necessarily need Yibum. So therefore, they have to get divorced and they can't get remarried again. He botched it. He made a big mistake. So here, by the not marrying the nursing woman, is it the Rabbanon? So Rabbanon Svirulay. So he's gonna go. He was going to the Rabbanon. Inami adkan like Rabbi Meir Hasam elamishum the Rabbanon. It's a the Rabbanon. Chachamim also chizik ledivreim yosem mishatoira. They made a chizik, right? Because people don't necessarily listen to the Rabbanon as much as they listen to the Torah. So they had to make a chizik and say, listen, if you're going to marry this lady within 24 months of having a baby, you're going to have to get divorced. But the Raisa here by Yibam, everybody's going to separate, right? So therefore, maybe it's not a comparison, right? So, fine. So now, yeah. So therefore, we don't necessarily know whether the two cases are exactly the same. So Amar Rava L'divrei Chachamim Yotzia beget, and according to the Chachamim, he has to get divorced with a get, right? Meaning Chachamim say Yotzi Shegias Mane Lichnes Yichus doesn't mean Yotzi that he has to go home and live in his own house until they decide to get married, or doesn't mean that they actually need a get. So we're saying according to the Chachamim, they need a get. And Agav, it just went into my head. Can't even make this up. Right, so you're saying like, okay, so they're married, but they live separate, right? I had somebody text me last night, a Shaila, she's married, but they're not living together yet. I can't even, I just thought of this last night, a text that she's married. I don't know who it is. She's not living together yet. Maybe it's this case. I don't know, because maybe it's this case. I don't. I was wondering I didn't ask why. It's none of my business why. She just wanted to know she has to sell her own chametz. She's married, but she's not living with her husband.
I mean, it might be your business. It might be your business. They got you involved.
I know. When you get, let me just tell you something. When you get that type of question, unless they ask you to get involved, you just answer what they want and you move on. Maybe it's chupas nida. I think it's a zivik sheni. I think she said maybe it's a second marriage, whatever it is. But now I'm thinking maybe this is the scenario. They didn't notice halacha. They got married and she's within 2 years, so they had to separate. Okay, but here it says you need a get. So I don't know. Okay, whatever it is, I'm just thinking. Either way, so the Chacham is saying that they go out with a get. So now that we're going to see in tomorrow's daf. I would have liked to finish to go further, but it's late already. So does this apply bisman hazeh? Right? Because women nowadays, why? First of all, the Gemara is going to say tomorrow that the reason is because here's the kasha. The obvious kasha is, what are we worried about?
Maybe she's not going to be able to milk the baby.
Correct. So it comes out that the reason that we're worried is that this guy is not going to treat this baby she's going to get pregnant, and this baby's need to be nursed, and the father's not going to care. That's going to be the maskana of the Gemara. The new father's not going to care. So they made a takana, right? So now, does this change nowadays with formula, right? So let's say she gets pregnant. So now she's not going to have enough milk, whatever it is. So does this change with formula? So we had this shaila in town 10, 12, 15 years. I don't know. A woman, Nebuch, a guy was nifter, and his wife had just had a baby a couple of months. He was nifter a couple of months after he had a baby. And the shaila was, can she start dating, or does she have to wait for 24 months? Right? And the psak was that she has to wait. We're not going with the Metzias change, and that
she's pregnant, like 2 months pregnant. She has to wait almost 3
years. She'd have to wait 3 years, yeah. Pregnant.
But what happens if they don't even nurse? Like, what happens if they stop nursing?
They'll make a difference.
6 months anyway.
No, they learn takonas chachamim is takonas chachamim, and you can't adjust it. I'm not so sure if there are others that are megal. I think there are makilim.
Who gave that psak?
Who gave the psak?
Yeah.
I'll say. I think with 5 kohen. But I remember, from what I correct, Reb 5 kohen is the one that gave the psak. But again, I wasn't involved, but that's what I had heard from the people that were involved. But I think there would be those that might disagree, but again, it's like every other takanas chachamim. Do you say that the Metzias changed or not? The Pasha says we say Metzias did not change. Okay, we'll continue with this sugya tomorrow, Bez Hashem. I have no recollection. What did we do Erev Pesach last year and by Bedikas Chametz? Anybody remember?
Kaplan, come on.
I think Bedikas Chametz, you did it before.
I think we did it before, like 7.
I think we did it before Bedikas last year, if I remember correctly.
So, like 7-ish.
If you get me the date,
Erev Pesach, I think you ran it the same way you always do.
I can go to the videotape if you get me the date.
I don't just look up the date and see. Okay, either way.
What's my achrayas?
We got to cover
the first day. We're doing shit.
We'll have to do a little bit more. The next couple of days. But let me just tell you, just a warning, in case anybody wants to be cleaning tomorrow. The next 2 daf are not for the faint of heart. They are hard, but they're not fair of Pesach. Let me tell you, they are not. But okay, we'll try and get through it.
I love it because these daf are very easy. So it's good. I'm good. Happy.
Rami, this is even on top of that.
Perfect. I'm looking forward.
Okay, it's always a Yankee.
You mean Reb Yaakov? You mean nobody says, "Oh, how did the Maybe Shapiro figure out to have this stuff Erev Pesach. They're not saying that.
They're not. We're not doing that Basher thing. They're not doing that Basher thing.
Maybe we'll get a.
But I gotta think on Erev Pesach there might be a Gemara with Chometz. I think it's either Erev Pesach or the day before. I'm not sure. I don't remember.
Yeah.
It's all gel. But okay, we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, all right.
Good night.
Have a good night, fellas. Okay.
Yago,
Yeah.
what's with Meyer? Were you in a rush or we're not in a rush?
We're in a rush. My kids are waiting here.
Once again, I said Tzviakov. Are we in a rush or we're not in a rush?
Come on, parents, it's not right.
I gotta
My
find my
family is
kid
leaving
now.
tomorrow. I gotta get home and pack.
All right, say it.
Thank
Call
you.
my son.
Thank you.
Naftali, when are you flying out?
I'm not sure if I'm going tomorrow or Thursday. My family's going tomorrow.
At night or in the day?
The middle of the day. Why?
I'm going